Hello everyone, this is the part 2 of our discussion in the natural law theory. So here we will mainly talk about the principles under this natural law. As an introduction, let us have a short recap about this theory, natural law theory. So Saint Thomas Aquinas synthesized the Aristotelian Stoicism and Christianity to give the natural law its classic formulation. So Saint Thomas Aquinas um, synthesize, meaning combine the idea of the Stoics, the idea of Aristotle about the natural law, and also what is embraced by Christianity, following the argument of Saint Thomas Aquinas about the natural law. So in addition to Aristotle's natural virtues, he added the theological virtues of faith, hope, and charity or love. And unearthly happiness, he includes the Beatitudes. So when we speak of what is good, it is always according to what is our reflected on our reason. So, and reason bases understanding of what is good from what is our found in our human nature. Now there are times that an action produces good and bad effect. So this is where this doctrine of double effect comes in. So this doctrine is a supplementary principle of the natural law theory. So here an action is morally acceptable when there is good and bad effect. It is morally acceptable provided that the four conditions is present. So the first is principle is that the act must be a good one. So you have to examine first whether the act is good. Second is principle is that the act must come about before the consequences. So here the the consequence is just a second to the good that must come out. The third is that the intention must be good. So here it is the internal aspect of the whole human action. And then the fourth is it must be for serious reason. So it must be a grave reason to really do such action. Aside from the doctrine of double effect, there are other supplementary principles of the natural law. So number one is the principle of inviolability of life. So this principle applies to every human life, including the life of the unborn that is still in the process of developing in the womb of the mother. This is because life is sacred and as it is created by God. So when we speak of inviolability, it speaks of protecting life from the beginning until its end. Only God can take away our life. Now the second principle is the principle of forfeiture. So this principle can be invoked in certain real situations wherein a person's life is mortally threatened by the presence of another who is an aggressor. So here in this principle, if your life is threatened, then you can forfeit the life of those persons who want to destroy your own life. So their right to life is forfeited because you threaten them. Okay. Number three is the principle of totality. So this principle refers to the view that a part exists for the good of the whole. So in the case of our human body, there is a part that causes pain or perhaps cancer on the part of your body. It can be removed. So the act or removing the parts of your body is morally acceptable as long as it will destroy the entire body. But if the intention of removing parts of your body, like for example your kidney, is for commercial purposes, then it is not morally acceptable according to the natural law theory because of this principle of totality. Number 4 is the principle of stewardship. So this principle has its basis on the religious belief that all life comes from God, the supreme creator and maker of all. So this is the reason why suicide is not morally good. So when you take your own life, it goes against this principle of stewardship as a supplementary principle of natural law. Only God can take away our life in according to his own time. And this principle is also applicable to environmental issues. So we have the responsibility to take care of our environment. If you destroy our environment, it is morally wrong. Now let us now evaluate the natural law theory. Let's begin with the strength. Number 1, natural law affirms our basic belief in the infinite and inherent worth and value of human life. Number 2, it gives a purposive direction and coherent explanation to all realities in the cosmos. Number 3, it offers a clear and comprehensive guideline as to what are the things that we ought to do and not do. Number 4, it grounds morality in human nature that is discoverable by reason. Number 5, it gives emphasis on the various human inclinations as something good and should be promoted and enhanced. Number 6, it grounds morality on certain universal human values such as the value of life, truth, and goodness. Number 7, it coherently integrates the significant role of conscience in knowing what is right and what is wrong. Number 8, it explains in a systematic manner why things are or nature are the way they are and their implications to human moral actions. Number 9, it provides a religious dimension to morality. So meaning the will of God is actually according to what is the nature of human being. So we can discern by our natural as a human being, we can discern the will of God. Number 10, it categorically rejects relativism and subjectivism in our search for a valid moral principle that will govern our actions and conduct. So here, the natural law is because it is true to all. No, our reason, our capacity to reason is true to all people. So we have the capacity to follow our reason according to our human nature. Okay, is that Aquinas thinks that reproduction is natural and hence reproduction is morally acceptable. This means that sex does not lead to reproduction is morally unacceptable. So there are times that maybe it is not timely, or it does not really according to the calendar method. It does not perhaps the woman is not fertile during the sexual intercourse, and that's why there is no fetus that were formed, and can we say it is already morally unacceptable? So this is another problem. And then number 6, there is though a more fundamental law at the heart of this approach together with Aristotle's ethics, namely that they think that everything has a goal, telos, or end. So that's the reason why number 7, we might raise questions about the doctrine of double effect. For Aquinas, in the case of abortion, it is morally acceptable to remove the uterus, even if we know that in doing so the fetus will die. What is not morally acceptable is to intend to kill the fetus by removing the uterus. No. Number 8, there is no difference in intention. So this issue raises some complex questions about the nature of the mind and how we might understand intentions. No? So, for example, in the doctrine of double effect, there is no difference in intention. Number 9, we might wonder how easy it is to work out what actually to do using the natural law. And number 10, the assumption is that the more we think, the more rational we become, the more convergence there will be. We will all start to have a similar views on what is right and wrong, but we are still at this point in agreement as to what is really morally good and morally bad. So in conclusion, the natural law theory does rest upon a number of dubious philosophical propositions. We should not forget that at least in the formulation of the Catholic Church, the natural law ultimately comes from God. So that is all my discussion about this law. The examples are already provided in the simplified course pack. I hope that you were able to read them and understand. But if you have questions and clarifications, feel free to message me. Thank you for listening.